South Africa delivers strong rebuke to U.S. over Trump's Africa policy. Defiant South Africa slams Trump's tariffs as Brics disrupts dollar dominance. Tensions between South Africa and the United States have escalated following the expulsion of South Africa's ambassador to the U.S., Ibrahim Rasool, by the Trump administration. The move has drawn fierce condemnation from South African officials and trade unions, who accuse Washington of overreach and hostility. In a sharp response, the South African Federation of Trade Unions SAFTA labeled the ambassador's expulsion as an unjustified and hostile act. SAFTU General Secretary Zelensky Mavavi dismissed U.S. claims that Rasool's critiques of President Donald Trump's policies are anti-American, arguing instead that the ambassador was merely analyzing the rise of white supremacy and neo-fascism in U.S. politics. Expelling our ambassador for speaking truth to power is unacceptable, Mavavi stated. South Africa is a sovereign nation, and we will not be bullied into silence. The dispute underscores deeper friction between the two nations, particularly over South Africa's foreign policy stances, including its support for Palestine and its case against Israel at the International Court of Justice (ICJ). Mavavi praised the South African government for its stance on Gaza, calling the ICJ case a moral obligation. However, he also cautioned against aligning with nations like Iran solely for their anti-U.S. positions, emphasizing the need for principled diplomacy. With the U.S. being South Africa's second-largest trading partner, the rift poses economic risks. Yet, Mavavi warned against capitulating to U.S. demands, which he claimed included halting land reform and abandoning pro-worker policies. "We cannot trade our sovereignty for economic favors," he asserted. The clash has drawn attention across Africa and beyond, with analysts noting growing resistance to U.S. unilateralism. Critics argue the Trump administration's transactional diplomacy is alienating traditional allies, while South Africa's Defiant signals a shift toward multipolar engagement. The global financial order is facing an unprecedented shift following U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to impose a staggering 150% tariff on Brics nations. This aggressive move, aimed at countering Brics' push for financial independence, appears to have triggered an unexpected consequence and accelerated global pivot away from the U.S. dollar. In response, Brics has unveiled a game-changing new payment system that could reshape international trade and finance. President Trump has made it clear, any attempt to undermine the dominance of the U.S. dollar will be met with severe consequences. His administration has framed this tariff as a protective measure against financial alliances seeking alternatives to the dollar. With the U.S. historically leveraging its currency's global reserve status to influence international trade and policy, Washington sees the Brics initiative as a direct challenge to its economic hegemony. Brics doubles down on de-dollarization. Rather than retreating, BRICS nations Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are accelerating their plans to reduce reliance on the U.S. dollar, with over 40% of the world's population and a rapidly growing share of global GDP. Brics is actively restructuring trade frameworks to operate independently of Western financial systems. A key strategy in this shift is increased trade in local currencies. Brazil and China, for instance, have established direct trading mechanisms using the Brazilian real and the Chinese yuan, eliminating the need for dollar conversions. This not only reduces transaction costs, but also limits exposure to U.S. financial influence. Similar arrangements are being adopted across the Brics bloc, creating a web of bilateral trade agreements that bypass the dollar entirely. Gold reserves on the rise. Brics nations have also intensified their efforts to accumulate gold reserves as a hedge against dollar dependency. By the end of 2024, their collective gold holdings are projected to reach 6,200 tons, over 21% of the world's reserves. This substantial stockpile provides economic security and insulates these nations from potential U.S. sanctions. China and Russia, in particular, have been aggressively increasing their gold reserves, positioning themselves to support alternative currency arrangements in the future. By holding tangible assets beyond Washington's control, Brics is laying the groundwork for a financial ecosystem that operates independently of the Western-dominated monetary system. Brics Pay. The digital disruptor. The most groundbreaking development in this financial realignment is the introduction of Brics Pay. a blockchain-powered cross-border payment system designed to circumvent traditional Western financial structures such as SWIFT. This platform enables member nations to transact directly in their local currencies, eliminating the need for US dollar mediation. The implications of Brics Pay are enormous. By leveraging blockchain technology, the system ensures secure, transparent, and efficient transactions. More significantly, it allows Brics nations to conduct trade outside US jurisdiction, diminishing the impact of American financial sanctions. With this system in place, Brics is creating a parallel financial network that challenges the dominance of the dollar-based global economy. A growing global movement, the Brics financial strategy is gaining traction beyond its core members. Countries such as Iran, Venezuela, Turkey, and Argentina have expressed interest in aligning with Brics financial mechanisms, further expanding the bloc's influence. Even traditional US allies in the Middle East and Southeast Asia are exploring these alternatives to hedge against potential American financial pressure. As more nations adopt Brics financial innovations, the effectiveness of US sanctions and economic policies could be significantly undermined. The possibility of a multipolar financial system where multiple currencies coexist rather than a single dominant reserve currency seems more likely than ever. Challenges to the IMF and World Bank. Adding to this seismic shift, BRICS nations are contemplating a historic departure from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank institutions that have long been pillars of the post-World War II economic order. Criticizing these organizations for their perceived bias toward Western interests, Brics has established its own alternatives, the New Development Bank (NDB) and the Contingent Reserve Arrangement (CRA). These institutions offer financial support without the stringent conditions typically imposed by the IMF and World Bank, further strengthening the bloc's financial autonomy. The Panama Canal, a new battleground. Beyond financial policies, the geopolitical struggle between the US and Brics is spilling over into strategic trade routes. The Panama Canal, a crucial global shipping lane, has become a focal point of contention. President Trump has voiced concerns about China's influence over the canal's key ports, prompting Panama to realign with US interests by severing ties with China's Belt and Road Initiative. This move, coupled with a $22.8 billion US-led investment takeover of port operations, signals America's efforts to maintain control over critical global trade arteries. China's strategic patience. Despite mounting tensions, China has adopted a measured response, favoring long-term strategic positioning over direct confrontation. By strengthening economic ties across Latin America, Africa, and the Arctic, Beijing is steadily diversifying its trade routes and financial influence. China's growing gold reserves, leadership in Brics financial institutions, and increasing global use of the yuan suggests that it is playing the long game in reshaping the world's financial order. The decline of dollar dominance, with the combined forces of Brics Pay, gold accumulation, local currency trade agreements, and potential IMF withdrawals, the challenge to US financial hegemony is becoming increasingly tangible. While the dollar still dominates global reserves at approximately 60%, this share is steadily declining as central banks diversify their holdings. A shift away from dollar supremacy would have profound consequences for the US economy. Rising borrowing costs, higher import prices, and a reduced ability to leverage financial sanctions could significantly alter America's global influence. The long-term trajectory suggests a move toward a fragmented, multipolar financial system rather than a singular replacement for the dollar. The future of global finance. As these financial transformations unfold, the global economic landscape is shifting toward a more decentralized structure. Rather than a single dominant reserve currency, the future may see a diversified system where multiple financial networks operate in parallel. Whether the US adapts to this reality or intensifies its efforts to maintain dominance remains to be seen. For now, Brics continues to push forward with its ambitious vision, and the world is watching closely. This has been Sal Pierre, reporting for VlogND. Stay tuned for further updates on this rapidly evolving global financial landscape. Thank you for watching. We send a special shout out to all our subscribers. We appreciate your support so much. If you haven't done so yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's grow this family together. Thank you.